it needs to be increased. The waiting, once you start hitting 10 million, then you start really looking at the price. But by that time, you've got a much wider net. What is 500,000 now in this current South Africa? When did they set that 500,000 target? Do you know? When? Ah, my brothers. Knowledge. Yeah? This is more than 10 years. 500,000. And it's still there. It should change. The BE codes have changed, but the triple PFA hasn't. How do you implement triple BEE? You've got to be bold. It needs to be coming from you. Am I making sense? Now, the government has taken a bold step, which is exciting for all of us. They've appointed the Chief Procurement Officer. Hooray! The reporting lines. Has he got any power? At this point in time, contrary to popular belief, I'm saying no. And he needs to be elevated. They know my views. The government know my views. He should be a Director General. Procurement is too strategic for South Africa, colleagues. How do you leverage government spend if you have to report to 3 or 4 people before you get to the minister or the president? It should be elevated. Most procurement people report into finance. That is a conflict of interest which I highlighted last year. Because you can't expect them to balance their books and also create jobs. I mentioned that last year and supported it by research. That needs to change. Is government prepared to make those bold decisions? I believe license to practice with the support of SIPs should be done by 2017 if they want to achieve the NDP by 2030. But it needs your support. SIPs needs your support to push this. SIPs can't just walk into government department and start saying license to practice. It's not going to work. As a collective, I always say that there's more than 100,000 procurement professionals. In every organization, government department, there's a procurement professional, isn't there? Same with finance. If we all come together and even sign signatures and go to government and say, this is what we want, is he going to say no? No. He would support it. But SIPs can't do it alone. And if you want change, you have to be part of it. Don't sit on the outskirts and hope that SIPs can do it for you. No, they need you. Some interesting facts. Look at the amount of money that has come into the continent. Billions. All over. But yet, look at the abject poverty. The question is, when the money was coming, were we on the same page as them? Did we do our homework? Did we know what we want out of that relationship? And that is where negotiation comes in. Africa is not poor. We live in poverty, and you can change that. Recently, there's been a lot of talk, some of these things, all the world is telling us that we are doing well. Of course we are doing well. From where we're coming from and where we're going, we are doing well. Let's not be too pessimistic. But for whom? When you ship up your raw materials and you are not doing beneficiation, and they tell you your GDP is 17%, can you eat the GDP? No. The ordinary person on the street doesn't care about it. He wants a job. He wants to buy Kentucky Fried Chicken. Not the one that has been washed, obviously, in Braamfontein. But unless we do our homework, we are going to keep struggling and not creating a better future for the African child. I was once an African child. I maintain that I'm an African first and happens to be from part of the continent called Ghana. So are you. We are all Africans. And nothing's going to change that, whether you like it or not. Yeah. We have to find a way of obviously making sure that a lot of the people come out of the poverty trap. It's all well and good to talk about I'm creating black industrialists, I'm creating millionaires. For me, so what? Because the economy is still not sustainable if you have only 10 millionaires and 90 million living in poverty. They will react. And now social media is making it easier for them to come together and fight. So we need to find a way through procurement and supply chain to be able to uplift a lot of the people out of the poverty trap. I'm not saying it's not good to create millionaires. Of course, there has to be millionaires in the system. But through procurement, a lot more can be done. And that is where you come in. Look at some of the unfortunate incidents. You are paying, I am paying. And this is not just restricted to South Africa, it's all over the continent. Some even worse, far, far worse, where they pay a supplier and the supplier doesn't exist. They got the address from the internet, very nice pictures with all this, but it doesn't exist. And they've already paid. And then it goes to court. They want to get the money back. The person doesn't exist. Where are you going to get the money? But some legal person will say, I can get it for you. Let's go on a risk reward. And they will start running around the world to try and find the supplier. Final food for thought. I think there's time that you wake up, my brothers and sisters, really take your profession seriously. SIPS obviously has a role to play, and be bold enough through knowledge to try as much as possible to shake up what has been happening in your part of Africa called South Africa. Because you are key to the development, to the competitiveness, to shareholder wealth creation. You are critical, and I think it's time that you really looked at that. Don't go into discussions with, I'm going to win. Yes, of course, you might win in the short term, but you might create a lot of havoc around you. Go and negotiate and not to bargain. It is critical, and it's a mindset. Please get out of the bargaining mindset into negotiation mindset. That will help you to foster change within your organization, within industry, and within South Africa and the rest of the continent as a whole. What is happening next? Well, the report, like I mentioned, the full report will be available. SIPS will have copy to give to his members on his website. And then I'm hoping to repeat the research next year. Obviously, I need to strategically source funding for the research. So once it comes through, then I'll be able to do that. Thank you very much, and may God bless Africa and this part of the continent called South Africa. I thank you.